If Jesus needed that time, he needed it. And that the praying that Jesus did has got to be a model for all of us. Now let's return to the story about Mary and Martha. Was Martha being a disciple by being in the kitchen, trying to feed Jesus and all the rest? Was she being a disciple? Of course she was. Would Jesus
Amen.